Hello everyone, welcome to the Jargus Ranger Review. This time we'll be looking at the third episode of Power Rangers Beast Morphers, End of the Road. And I gotta say, this was a pretty interesting episode. We start out with Nate making a new weapon that he shows off to Zoey that can combine part of the Ranger's gear. I think it's the Morpher or something. I'm not quite sure, I couldn't quite pick up on it from the dialogue. And a blaster to make the Beast Cannon, which can really do some damage. But he also created, at Zoey's request, a bike that can move extra quickly powered by Morph X, called the X-Bike. I have a feeling just about everything in this season is just being called Morph, or X, or Beast. Just a feeling. Anyway, Mayor Daniels, yes, he's actually a recurring character, so this is going to be interesting, is planning to tear down the forest to make room for a new road to help solve the city's traffic problems. I think you're gonna need more than just one road to solve an entire city traffic. But Zoey arrives and she wants to protect all the wildlife there, the ecosystems and whatnot. To which she proposes the city adopting the use of the X-Bikes. Because it's clean energy, it keeps people off the streets, and reduces congestion and whatnot. Of course, this is a big project. I mean, you had to contract different landscaping and demolition companies and whatnot to tear down the trees. So he says he'll pull it off for 1 week. Zoey has 1 week to get people to adopt the X-Bikes. Unfortunately, it seems like it's mostly just her and her fellow Rangers trying to promote it. Even though Grid Battle Force is a huge name in the public right now, I presume, no one is interested. Of course, no one knows that she's a Ranger either. Though, and one guy with glasses, he just sounds full of himself, is that he doesn't want it because it doesn't look cool, it looks so basic. To which Ben and Betty drive by in one they had made for two. And that somehow gets a lot of people interested. And so she consults with Nate, talks about all different sorts of small features that could be added to make it more appealing and increase the adoption rate. So this is your plan, Power Rangers. You're gonna teach children about market research and product development. Very clever move, Hasbro, I must admit. But back to more serious matters. We go to Dimension X. Well, that's what I'm calling it, because I don't think they've given this far-off dimension a name where our villains are residing. And Scrozzle is already bowing down to Evox, calling him Master. Well, that didn't take him long. He's probably pretty weak if he has to rely on just tactics, just powering up different robots by stealing more Vex energy and such. Well, the avatars are somehow able to see news broadcasts from the Earth dimension. How? Who knows? But it means that they're not totally ignorant to what's going on in the human world. So Blaze decides to go with a Robotron called Needletron. There's a lot of Tron names in this series. It's gonna be quite a tongue twister as this goes on, I imagine. Anyway, those two go into the world and start to steal the Morphex from the bikes, to the point where Needletron's blasting attacks can disable the Morphex power in the X-Bikes and make them go haywire or even explode. So yeah, you might need some more security features on your fuel source. Zoey, get with Nate about that, okay? You don't want a lawsuit on your hands. Now, an interesting thing about Blaze is that when he transforms, he has a robotic filter on his voice, but he does not have that when he's in his human-like form. So that's a nice, interesting touch. So the power of Needletron's blasting is able to make Devin and Ravi demorph, but Zoey is able to evade getting hurt and uses the new Beast X cannon to actually destroy Needletron, except for his arm, which has collected all that Morphex energy that the Blaze avatar just grabs and takes into the Dimension X. It is obviously not enough, so Blaze goes back to steal the energy himself, but he gets interrupted pretty quickly by the Rangers. Which, by the way, they now have their individual morph sequences. You know, when it shows them the split screen with the suits appearing on them, instead of the weird spiral cloud things that appeared before. That was a unique touch. I don't know why they kept that. I mean, why they didn't keep it. Maybe that was just for a first-time morph? Who knows? So right now, we don't know what kind of standard scene to see with that. However, instead of going to battle, our Avatar boy just grabs one of the X-Bikes and starts to flee from the Rangers, contacting Roxy to be prepared for their chasing and to go back. And the Rangers decide to get on X-Bikes themselves. And they're just going in between cars and traffic doing all sorts of tricks, jumping high in the air, doing flips around, to which a lot of onlookers are just staring at it, so impressed. Yeah, you can see what that's going to lead to already. But in the warehouse, the Rangers can't attack because Roxy has their own blaster pointed at some Morphers in containers, which obviously will cause a big explosion, so they can't really fight very well. At which point the collected Morphers energy from Blaze gets taken back to Dimension X, and is used to create a Gigatron based off of Needletron's data. And it starts over just Ravi by himself going to fight it. And his Zord can go into gorilla mode, and it can run around and shoot rockets and pretty much keep Needletron at bay. Now Zoey and Roxy are fighting in the Morphers warehouse by themselves, and then Devin joins the battle and he has his Zord transform and does a jumping slash onto it to finish it off. So the Needletron Gigatron didn't last very long, but it was a good combination attack. So while this is happening, it's just Roxy and Zoey fighting in the Morphers warehouse. And they're trading one-liners, trying to outsmart each other. They have a really good fight choreography. And it all ends with Zoey blowing up the Morphers that is right behind the Roxy avatar, and it defeats her and she's forced to retreat. Don't make the whole warehouse explode, just a little part of it that wins the battle. And she falls down and says that she needs a carrot. So yeah, they definitely have the glaring weaknesses still at play here. Though I feel like hers is going to be the worst because that exhaustion can come in at almost any major battle. Whereas Devin's and Ravi's are extremely situational. Now the next day, they're at the site, they have all the workers again ready to earn their paychecks and tear down the forest. And Zoey has a new idea for a new X-Bike prototype that will probably get more people's attention. But then the mayor and his aides show up riding X-Bikes themselves, and he announces that the project has been put on hold indefinitely in favor of the X-Bikes. He swears that he's going to show the world that Crow Cove, I believe that's the name of the city, is going to have clean and renewable energy for years to come. So you could say it's a bit of a political move to make himself sound better to aspiring new voters. Who knows? This is just me reaching too far into this, I suppose. Then Ben and Betty have a new form of the X-Bike, the two-person seater that can split in two to be the X-Unicycles. But they have no control of them and they crash. Oh, and the reason why the mayor decided to scrap the project is because there's tons more people who want X-Bikes now. Because it wasn't just a few bystanders that saw the Rangers on the road. Oh, no. This got broadcast by the news. And they showed it off to everyone in the city. So now everyone wants one. And who was a newscaster that reported the story? Why, that was no one but Zoey's mother. So this is a very interesting season where every Ranger has their parents as an on-screen presence. And they're not there for just one instance. They have a defining role so far. To the point where they're integrated into the plot, but they're not integral to the plot. So that's a very interesting touch. That we have this in place at the very start of the season. And all three of them are in positions of power or influence that can make changes to the public in the Rangers' favor or even against them. And none of them know that they're Rangers. Now we're only 3 episodes in, so their importance may be diminished as time goes on. But so far, it's got me very intrigued. It makes the season a lot different than previous ones. So I hope they explore this piece of the team dynamic more. It would make the overall story seem a lot more personal than just trying to do the right thing or trying to save the day. Now overall, I say this is a very good episode. I mean, the action was great, it didn't overstay its welcome, and it wasn't over too quickly. I mean, the mech battle was pretty fast, but it was just long enough to be very satisfying to see. And it shows more versatility how the Rangers can work together, even if they're not all fighting at the same time. Plus, it shows more cleverness and strategy on the Rangers' part. And the avatars were not in Go Busters, the Sentai this was based on. Which means half the fighting was original footage, and it still looked great. Now, interestingly enough, in older seasons, we might have a situation where the monster is mixed in with the Ranger's story. This time, the villain's plan is because of the Ranger's story. Because what they were doing is broadcast in public. And that's how the villains got our plan to steal the energy from the bikes. And this came directly from the Rangers. The idea to use them in the first place. So this season is doing a lot of things different that we usually don't see in a Power Ranger season, and I'm liking it a lot. So far, I have 0 complaints about this season. It has a huge amount of potential. I don't know if the showrunners have gotten it right, or if Hasbro is stepping a hand in to make sure it's done right. But whatever the case, I am very much looking forward to episode 4. And I hope you are too. So why don't you tell me your thoughts in the comments. Anyway, this has been Jargus. Thanks for watching. And until the next episode, let the power protect you.
It's morphin' time. For justice we fight.